Hi everyone and welcome to my place. I get lots and lots of requests from people all around the world asking for help with putting flowers into a vase. Now I must just admit I prefer working into foam only because I find it an easy medium to work with. But that doesn't say that I don't have in my house what I call casual yet elegant designs of flowers that just look like I've gone out to the garden, picked them and brought them in and plopped them into a vase. Because pretty much that's all it's about. It's just picking them and putting them into a vase. However, there is a wee design tip I'm going to give you when it comes to knowing what length your flower should be. The general rule of thumb is 1.5 times the height or the width of the container, whichever is the greater. So you can visually see that this is high as opposed to wide and long. So it's the measurement from the base to the top. The thing is with working into foam, it's just the width of the container or the length of the container, because you're not actually going right down into the cavity of your container, because we are right about now. So it's 1.5 times or a little bit shorter if that's what you want to do. Now, I've also got this lovely willow here, and you'll notice that the colour of the willow actually connects into the colourway of the container. So when I put that into there, what actually happens is the eye hits the base, the big broad base of the container, and then when it hits this colour here, it gives movement and elevation and height because the eye hits it, and then it sweeps up these branches and then disappears to come back into your container. So enough of the design tips, let's just get on to it, and I'll show you as we go through. I'll give you more information. Right, the other thing that I like to do, oops, they just all dropped, is sometimes it's easier to start off with a nice big weight of foliage. Now the thing about what I love about using Magnolia or even camellias, Magnolias are better for this type of container because this colorway here is almost through to this color base here, and the little letters on the side here are actually almost the same color. So that's going to actually give it's another tip tip for your toolbox of designing to look at what the container's doing, look at what nature's already done for you, and then you're good to go. The other thing is with the shininess of the magnolia leaves, and even though you'll see that it's got those little wee markings in there, see those little wee markings? I don't care about things like that because to me that's like nature did that. It's just one of those wee mistakes that's actually going to add a little bit more visual interest and texture to your design. So what I've done here is I've just got 3 stems of big bulky magnolia, which I'm just going to plop into there, which now, as I said, it gives me a base. The green is has a lovely lustrous sheen, which is going to add more texture and light to your design. And if you're ever stuck, always remember that green will be your friend because it harmonizes and it balances and it connects everything together. So already we've got this really lovely paint by numbers floral design going on, and we've got a nice big base into that. Right, the next thing I want to put into here is I've got these beautiful roses. These are just some of the roses that we've got at Prestige Botanicals, and I just adore them. And this little cupped rose here is just beautiful, and I just want you to know that when you touch it, it almost feels like a real rose. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, with these, I'm going to put these in first. And as I said, you've got this red, because you've got the foliage in. Years ago, we used to use pin holders, but you don't have to worry about that because if you've got the base of your foliage in, you've got something strong and sturdy to actually help to prop your things up. Now, what I'm doing is, and I'll continuously going over this because I think it's a really good thing to remember, when you're putting your materials into your vase and you've only got 3s or 4s or 5s, make sure that there's even distance between each of your placements, which will give you that actual looks balanced at the end of your design. And if you also cut everything, as I said, 1.5 times the height or the length of your container, whichever, or the width of the container, whichever is the greatest, some a little bit short, some a little bit lower, but if they're all at the same length before you start, it's just a matter of going plonk, plonk, plonk. I love that. Right, with that, when you look into this little rose here, you'll notice that it's got some little wee, almost peachy or tints of raspberry on the ends of the roses. If you're stuck, the next thing to do is, because I've done it all for you to make it as easy as I can, into here, it's got the reverse colorway. So the little raspberry bits on the end are actually, and the tips are actually running all the way through the variations of color in this little rose here. So I've got 3 of those. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one there. I've got a space between there and there, put that one into there, and then I'll bring the other one around to here. As I said, some are a little bit high, some are a little bit low, but they're sort of kind of as balanced as I can get them. Now the next thing I want to put into here are these gorgeous, I call this rose, this reminds me of a Malibu sunset. It is just delicious, and it just looks like the summer, and it's opened up. Oh, and you could, the only thing that's missing with this superb rose is, no, it doesn't have the smell, but that's okay. Right, with those, because they're big and heavy, I'm just going to put those into the middle. I'll put one into there, that can go over to there, and then that can go around and into there. The other thing I want to incorporate into this are, whoopsie daisy, I'm being a bit rough here. Let me just put that to one side. I've got these beautiful Leucadendrons. Now, as I said, the best way to do a design to know that it's always going to be about the right length is to cut everything before you start. Otherwise, you're going to be in the situation that I'm in now, that I have to stop what I was doing or stop that beautiful flow, and I've got to cut those. So they've all been cut to around about the same length. Now, when you're putting anything that's fresh into water, remember to strip all of that foliage that is going to be beneath that waterline. The reason we do that is because the first thing that's going to go off is going to be the leaves, and it's the bacteria in the water which is going to make everything go off very, very quickly. So just run your hand down there. See, if I've done all this to start with, but you see how I had a flow going and then I had to stop because I didn't have them cut. So there's a tip from me. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop these down and in amongst my flowers. And if you need to, you can just lift one of your roses up. But it's also, I love Leucadendrons, and especially with the colorway. Look, when you see those lovely little reedy bits there, the green, and then you've got the green here, and then you've got those little reedy tips there that connect through to your arrangement. So you can move and you can bend and you can manipulate these to whichever way you want to. And I had 5, and I just thought that maybe this would be my focal, even though this is round to be viewed all around. It doesn't matter if you have a little bit of a visual interest on one spot. Who said nature doesn't have everything growing all perfectly? Now the next thing I want to put into this are these beautiful, beautiful, let me bring them over here. I love these Hypericum berries. And what's beautiful about these is the colorway connects beautifully in with the artificial permanent botanicals. So, you know, there is no rule that says you can't. And if anybody says that you're not allowed to, you just tell them that I said I can, because this is a world where we're all allowed to be free spirits. Right, with these, I'm just going to bring those, put that into... Now, did you see what I didn't do? See what happens? Exactly what I've gone on about. I didn't cut everything to the same height before I started, which means that already I'm going to have to be having a little fiddle. So, just reiterating what I said, cut everything before you start. Now the other thing is I've cut, I know that these are all the same length because when I got them at the market, they are all standardized size. So I've just sort of kind of cut those, not all to the same length, Those two are similar, but that's just a little bit shorter. That's okay because that will just give a little bit of variance in the design. Okay, let's get on with this, shall we? That can go down into there, and it is going to stick up a little bit, but it's not sticking way up like it was, which is going to mean that our design is going to look visually balanced. Oh, look at that. Now, over here, I'm just looking at this and I'm seeing that I've got that falling out, but that's okay. Let's just bring that into there. And this is when you could start to just have a little bit more movement in your design. And this one here, that's perfect. And because they're artificial, you can just lift them up. I like that they're falling down because that's what it would naturally do in a container. Now, what else have I got? I think I just want to put this into here like that. And just a little bit more height. So look at how that all just goes together. Now, if you want to get a little bit more movement in, this stuff here, the willow, as I talked at the beginning, this is something that's going to give a little bit more visual balance. Now, I usually wait until the end to put these lovely little things in, and now I've got to muck around. Bring that down into there, and look, it just, so your eye's hitting this and it's just all moving around before it comes back down into your design. So, oops, that's too tall. See what happens? It's a lot of mucking around. I could have had this done much, much quicker if I hadn't had to stop and start. And I actually did that on purpose so that I could show you all what that actually is like when it's not all cut to the same length. So there we have a quick and easy casual arrangement using the roses and all of the other materials that I've used in it. You feel like you need to, just give them a little lift up when you get to the end and it's done. I like this kind of designing. Hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed sharing it with you and I look forward to seeing you again another day.